What's going on, fellas? Hey Vishnu, hey Mohammed, hey Saliak or Salak. Alright. So tell me, how is the live stream coming? Do you hear me well? Hey Messi. Hey Maestro, Master. Vishnu. Alright. So let's see how many of us are here. Six. Okay. Alright, so what I wanted for today, for today's live stream is gonna be like an hour or less. What I want us to do is to go through a few Python exercises and most specifically loops. We're gonna look into a few resources here. Then we're gonna do some challenges with respect to loops on AttaBit. And then maybe if we still have time, we're gonna do something here on AttackDefense, which I know a lot of you like. Okay, ready to roll. So yeah, I don't think you've seen. I just switched the screen here. You didn't see what I was talking about, but you'll see more in a minute. Okay, let me just do performance mode for better performance here. And then, like I said, so some of you asked about loops in Python. Okay, and when it comes to loops in Python, the thing is really simple. You just have like two major types of loops. You have the for loop, and then you have the while loop with some twists and twerks, not twerks, but with some twists. So you have this resource here to better understand loops, learnpython.org, which I would recommend you look into. Then there's also two other resources that I'll be going to in a minute. So let's actually go through it right now. So the for loop. And you'll better understand when we move to the practical exercises here on AttaBit. So the for loop iterates over a given sequence. Here's an example. This is a list of numbers. So you have 2, 3, 5, 7, and then for prime in primes, print prime. What this is actually gonna do is to print each of them. For loop, I mean, this is as simple as it gets with any programming language. It's like written in clear language. For prime, this prime we could call it whatever we want. For element in primes, so for whatever element in the primes list, what we need to do is to print prime. So it's gonna print 2, 3, 5, and 7. If we run this, it says prime is not defined. Print element, of course. So we print element. So we have, let me see if I can make this like larger. I cannot. For element in primes, print element. We could do this in AttaBit here. So we have, let's say, numbers equals 1, 2, 9, 83, Can you see this? 67, 129 minus 8. We could also have I wanted to say that we could also have strings like not sex, but sequence, or whatever string we want, but since we called this a numbers, this is only going to be with numbers. But a list can have whatever data types you want it to give. It can be mixed data types. So what we're going to do, we want to iterate through numbers. So we'll say for number or whatever, this keyword is defines the element in the list, but we could say whatever we want. We could say for underscore, so for underscore in elements, print underscore. But since this is Python 3, it's going to print the elements, in numbers, not elements. In numbers, print underscore, and it's going to print all the numbers in the order in which they are here. So this is the most simple explanation of a for loop. We can say number for better understanding, print number, and it's going to do the same thing. So it's going to have the exact output. But seems to be running slow, this add a bit. Hey, programming hacking. Okay, so this is our output. Alright, so this is the for loop. It might have some twists as well. You could also use else. I just learned not so long ago that you could also use else in for loops. We could see, can we use the else clause for loops? We can use else for loops, but to be honest, in like 3 or 4 years, in like 3 to 5 years or more, 4 to 5 years since I started, since I started learning Python or working with Python, I never actually encountered this type of formulation, a for loop with an else clause or statement. Similarly, I haven't encountered a while loop with an else. So like I said, we have the for loops. So in Python, once again, loops, for and while. This is probably going to cover the majority or 95% of the cases. For loop is pretty simple and explanatory. Then you have the while loop. And while loop, as it says here, repeats as long as a certain condition is met. So you have to have a condition, in this case count smaller than 5. So in this case you have to declare the variable beforehand. In this case they declared count equals 0, and then while count is smaller than 5, print count. And then if you don't specify anything else after this print statement, this is actually gonna cause an infinite loop, because count is always going to be less than 5 if we don't modify it. So in this case we're actually modifying the count within the while loop. So we actually update the count after each iteration. So in the first iteration, count is going to be equal to 0. So we're going to print, let me actually just copy paste this. Control A and then put it over here. So first, in the first case, in the first iteration, so let's say iteration 1, we're gonna have while count smaller than 5, print count. So first count is going to be 0. This is going to be printed. Then count is going to be updated to 1, because count plus equals 1 equals count plus 1. So 0 plus 1 equals 1. Then the second iteration, count is going to be 1, and is going to be, so this is what's printed, and this is what's updated in the second iteration. Then in the third iteration, we'll have 2 updated to 3. Then in the fourth iteration, we'll have 3 updated, so 4. We're going to have 3 updated to 4. Then in the fifth iteration, we'll have 4 updated to 5. So in this case, there's not going to be any sixth iteration, because the condition is not met here. Because when we are at the fifth iteration and we want to try to do the sixth one, count is going to be equal to 5. So while 5 is smaller than 5, and that's actually not true, so there is no sixth iteration. So if we run this, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 as specified. So fair enough. All right. And then we have the break and continue. So this is very often, I've used break, continue, and pass quite very often in my practice of Python. In this case, break simply exits the loop, whereas as specified here, continues, skips the current block and returns to the for or the while statement. So the current block as in the current iteration. So in this case, there's gonna be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we don't have this if statement, this is gonna be a infinite loop, because true is always going to be true, and it's simply gonna increment count to the infinite. So don't do that. Don't don't get into infinite loops in Python or whatever programming language you're working with. So in this case, we have the break statement, and break is gonna hit when count is smaller than or equal to 5. As it says, prints 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we also have the continue, which for x in range 10, what exactly is this? Check if x is even. If x modulus 2 equals 0, which means if x is even, then continue, so don't print anything, otherwise print the odd ones. So it's going to print 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Okay, and there's also the pass statement, which I believe is used in if else. If I'm correct, I've mostly used it in if else statements. In this case, yeah, so similar. There is a difference between continue and pass, but I don't actually recall it from the top of my head. So difference between pass, continue, Python. Let's see. So pass simply does nothing while continue goes on with the next loop iteration. Clear enough? Okay. What's up with Windows 7 Yoka 2? Alright, so make sure to look into Learn Python for loops, for loops and while loops. Then there's also Geeks for Geeks loops in Python tutorial, which is also free, and you can run the code here in the browser. And then which is really useful. I mean, if you want to learn something, such as in this case, one of the ways that I always suggest people to learn stuff is actually by doing it themselves, or such as in this case, by doing stuff interactively. So in this case, I think that you would be learning better than just by actually looking into or reading through a book. Because if you do stuff yourself here in the browser, you feel like you learn better. So when it comes to programming, I think that learning interactively, hands-on, is the best way to learn, not actually by reading passively from a book. I keep saying this. And then there's also this, which seems to be more organized and structured. And this is an introduction to Python from Real Python, which is a really, really good, mostly free resource. I think they also have paid stuff here. And this is actually a learning path. So if you don't know nothing, if you don't know anything about Python, you can look into this, and you have like a learning path, a tutorial course interacting with Python. You have data types, which are really important, variables, and you also have quizzes here, operators and expressions, strings, lists and tuples, dictionaries, sets, which are really important. What else? Conditional statements, while loops, for loops, reading and writing in Python files. So this is a very, very good learning path, and also like similar to a course in Python, if you like to digest things by reading them instead of looking into an actual Python course. But maybe I'll do another live or I don't know, maybe a video tutorial on some of the best introductory courses to Python online, if you guys are interested in that. Alright, so since we're dealing with loops, let's actually look for a few challenges with respect to loops. What do you say, fellas? How to enumerate SMB? A little bit more specific. Have you tried using SMB client? Okay. Let's do a few challenges. So Python, let's go for loops. And let's say hide complete. List of consecutive numbers. Are you guys ready for this? List of consecutive numbers. Implement a function that returns a list containing all consecutive numbers in ascendant order from the given value low up to the given value high. So we need to return a list from the first to the last. So it needs a list. Okay. So we have the low and the high. The simplest that I can think of would be this: return low all the way up to high. Let's see. Invalid syntax. What if I say it like this? Return low to high. Should be, right? What am I doing wrong? What if I say, so it wants a list. I mean, I could also iterate. I could say list underscore, create a list, and then for I in range low high, okay, list underscore dot append. Let me just give it a better name. List one append I, and then finally we're gonna return the list one. Let's see if that works. One, two, three, four should equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So high plus 1. Let's see. Okay. What better way of actually writing this? What would be a better way to write this in fewer lines of code? Any suggestions? Return low high 1. So in this case, if I say, let's control X this, and then go back. So return, you're saying low, high, and then 1. In my understanding, this 1 is the step, right? So do you actually have to provide the step? Let's see if this works. Still invalid syntax, but I'm not really sure why. Low to high, what if we tried like that? I don't think it works like that. Anyways, we could better write these two lines in a list comprehension. So return list one dot append I for I in range low high plus 1. Let's see. not return. Let's just have the list comprehension and then return list underscore 1. See if that works. That seems to work. So that's a better way to actually run it in fewer lines of code. And the idea would be if we can run it in even fewer lines of code. So let's actually check the solutions. Let me submit the final first. I should have clicked view other solutions. Let me see if I can go back. Can I go back? Yeah, so this was it. Solutions. Return list, range low, high, +1. Yep. Good one. This is also another nice one. This one was mine. Okay, going back. Continue. Reverse the number. Create a function that takes an integer n and reverses it. It's a positive. So is this actually a string? Because in that case, we could simply say return and reverse. Let's see. String object has no attribute reverse. So Python, let's declare a number 123912. Let's make it a string. String of n dot what if we make it a string like this, 123912, and then n dot it doesn't have a reverse, so there is no reverse. But if we have it as a string, we could simply return, we could simply print from the last one, so n minus 1 all the way up to 0. Let's see, minus 1. Yeah, it's minus 1. Return string of n minus 1. See if that works. It failed. It passed 3 tests. Should work with negative numbers. What is actually the test? So minus 215, what is this equal to? 512, why? 512. Okay, so in this case, if we could simply strip it. String.n strip the minus. Let's see if that works. That actually works. Alright, moving on to the next one. Good one. Nearly better than Mr. Robot. Why do you say that, Gorilla? Do you like Python? So we've been streaming for 33 minutes. Let's actually do another quick one for loops, and then we'll try. Then we might go into a challenge from AttackDefense. What do you say, guys? So let's do another one. Hopefully soon I'm going to be able to pass to the easier ones. Write a function that takes 3 string arguments and returns true if word is found between the first and the last. What? What's this? Write a function that takes 3 strings, first, last, word, and returns true if word is found between the first and the last, alphabetically. So we have 3 words, and if Azure is alphabetically between apple and banana, monkey boost between bookend and boolean. So what we need here is the first we need I think we need we should go with the first 3 characters when comparing. Any suggestions, guys? Come on. So, is between first last word. If I think we could create a list of them, and then the list has the option of sorted. So let's say list 1 equals word 1, word 2, word 3. Let's say word 3 and then word 2. And then let's do list 1 dot sorted print. I mean, it's sorted now because it was sorted in place. So if we do list 1 it's word 1, word 2, word 3. So in this case, if a list of first, last, and word does it have is sorted? It doesn't. If first last word dot sort equals first word last dot sort, in this case return true, else return false. Let's see. So it passed a couple of tests, but it failed what? True should equal false. Let's see. So 2, 4, 5, 6. The sixth. 2, 4, 5, 6. True should equal false. So we have this list. Let's actually say list 1 equals this. And what I said here list underscore 1 first word last dot sort. What am I missing here? Why do you compare them like that? First, can you compare like... I don't think you can compare them. Let's see. First, as a string, smaller than last. What type of comparison is this? I want to do it in a similar fashion, but I cannot see if I cannot see where I'm wrong here. So unless, so all letters are in lowercase. Between the first and the last. Unless there's another case in which we could say elif first last word dot sort equals last word first dot sort, like that. We also return true, else return false. So I'm actually trying to get another case under the umbrella. Still, 2, 4, 5. True should equal to false. First, last, sort. Let me go with your it does alphabetic comparison. So you're saying if first smaller than word and word smaller than last. I'm actually gonna try to solve it with, I don't want to stay too long on a challenge here, but after the live I'm actually gonna try to solve it like this, because I'm pretty sure that there's something I'm not seeing here. So in your instance, in your example, you're saying first smaller than word and word smaller than last, right? Word smaller than last. You're gonna say return true. You could also say elif is basically the same thing. So else return false. Is this what you're trying to say, master? That's what you are trying to say. Okay, but still, like I said, I'm actually gonna try to get to the bottom of it using the dot sort from the list. And we should view other solutions. First, word last. It's even easier. It's a one-liner. Actually gonna vote. This is something similar to what I wanted to do. So first word last equals to sorted. So in Python, there's the built-in function, the sorted function. So if you want to know something about a built-in function in Python, you could just help sorted. A custom key function returns a new list containing all items from the iterable in ascending order. So you have at least two tools when you want to sort things in Python. If we have sort lists. So for example, we have our list _1 dot sorted dot sort. Okay. We could also see what this one implies. List1 dot sort. And we could have a key and a reverse, which is always the key is none and the reverse is set to false by default. And we also have, so we could sort our list using the dot sort or using the sorted. Make sure to keep that in mind. So you have at least two tools which you can use when you want to sort stuff within a list. All right, let's hit continue. Okay, so thanks for that, master. Let's actually do a challenge on Attack Defense Labs. What do you say, guys? I have the infrastructure. So like I said, like I told you in previous live streams, Attack Defense has a lot of stuff in here. They currently have like 1600 or something. Let's see, latest editions. is 1520, so 1525 or 1525 challenges, and they keep adding them every day, so it's like, it's crazy. I think, once again, I'm gonna say that their $35 subscription per month is really worth the money. So and like I said, they are divided into a lot of categories like network recon, real world, web apps. We have even further categorization, SQL injection, stored XSS, file upload, offensive Python. We have traffic analysis. There's nothing. There is only one here. We have CVEs categorized by year. Metasploit, of course. We'll do some Metasploit in a future. I think we did some Metasploit in a previous one. But anyways, I wanted to do some infrastructure attacks and go with Apache. I think we've did another Apache challenge in a previous live stream. And like I said, these are, in my opinion, more real world, which is what I'm looking for. I'm really not interested in CTF-ish stuff, which is, I'm completely put off by that. So we have vulnerable. Let's do vulnerable Apache 1. There are like 10 of them. And meanwhile, it starts. Apache is probably the most popular web server. In this series of challenges, we hope to explore how attackers can exploit web apps arising due to server misconfigurations. Take a look at the scenario below. But first, let me see how many minutes are we in here. So we are 48 minutes. Hopefully we can do this in less than 12 minutes, but let's see. So the homepage content is protected with a login page. In order to view the content of the page, the user has to provide the right credentials. The credentials are stored in a file on the same server. And due to a permission misconfiguration, a sensitive access control file used by the server is so I think this is important. Permission misconfiguration, a sensitive access control file. What file is that, guys? Sensitive access control file. Tell me. Is accessible to the unauthenticated user. Also, the web app itself is vulnerable to local file inclusion. So we have at least 2 potential weaknesses here. Your task is to read the credential file's name from the accessible access control file. Once again, what is that file name, guys? Get the credentials by exploiting the local file inclusion, access the web page content, and retrieve the flag, which is going to be here. Any hints? No hints. Prohibited activities. We're not going to use scanners or brute force. Okay. So no one knows? None of you guys know the name of the file? Complete silence. Okay. Lab link. Try logging in. Let's look once again. The home page is protected with a login page. In order to view the content of the page, we need to provide the right credentials. So this is not, we don't have any SQL injection here or anything like that. The credentials are stored in a file on the same server. So we need to look for a file that can be accessed, so that access control file can be accessed due to a permission misconfiguration. And the web app itself is vulnerable to local file inclusion. So this means that this inc thing could be, let's see, if we do etc password, come on Bitdefender. So it doesn't work. What if we include, what else can we include? This is probably where the local file inclusion is, but I'm still waiting on you guys. I'm gonna wait for 30 more seconds to tell me the file that you think is accessible because of a permission misconfiguration. Okay, time's up. So the file that I'm thinking of is htaccess.htaccess. So this is the file. Require all granted. What if we try to include it here? .htaccess require all granted. Okay. Let's go back. So we were in includes footer.inc.htaccess. Order allow, deny all. Let's see. And over here, all files.ht. Any suggestions? I'll take suggestions. How we should go about this. Can we just check what do we have here? Clearly, this is the vector of attack, but I might be missing something. Let's see. The home page content is protected with a login page. The credentials are stored in a file on the same server. We need to get the name of that file via local file inclusion. So we have the footer.php, right? What else do we have? Anything interesting in the page source? Nothing in there. Includes dot ht, what was it? Require all granted. Do we need to guess the name of it? It's not in the robots, right? Not found. How do we read the credentials file name from the accessible access control? No idea? Nobody? Now let's do some Google foo or duckduckgo.foo. LFI ht access. Let's see. I don't think this will go, but anyway. ht access, nothing. ht access. This is probably something else. Where was it? Includes nope. What was it again? Includes footer. It was. I'm just trying some random stuff here. I could really use some brute force here. HT what? HT access doesn't tell us. Order, allow, deny, deny from all. This, oh right, there it is. But why don't we have it in here somewhere? That's odd. So there we have our file name, so credentials.conf. Okay, so it's always better to check the page source entirely. Don't trust what you see. Never trust what you see. Make sure you double, triple check the source. So credentials, copy this, and then let's see if it's in here, or we should include it in here. And it was in here. So PA Labs Pentester Academy. Let me just copy the password itself. So PA Labs, enter the password, and copy the flag, which is over here. And that's done. Finally. Yeah. It seemed to have been easier, Stefan or Stefan. I didn't see a lot of questions coming from you guys or a lot of input, which is not what I want. I want more interaction in these live streams. So I need more input from you. Yeah, that's the basic thing. And also, I'm actually gonna end this one now because we're past 1 hour. I want you guys, after this this live stream is done, I want you, if you have questions with respect to cybersecurity, penetration testing, Python, leave them in the comment sections, and also tell me what kind of stuff you'd like me to work on in future live streams. Do you like challenges on AttackDefense Labs? Do you like Python? I kind of get the feeling that some of you are bored by Python and by programming itself. But like I keep saying, you need to know some programming if you want to have advantage over a lot of people in cybersecurity and penetration testing, especially if you'll be writing your own tools using Python or Bash, which is super powerful. Yeah, so tell me in the comment sections below what you want me to tackle on in future live streams. And with that said, until next time, peace out.